What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network, joined by your host, myself, Alex Fishbein. We got Dennis Clausen. Mike not with us this week, again, tax season, so what's
the
going on?
The IRS gonna get you. Mike's
know.
the guy you gotta see.
Exactly.
So if the IRS is knocking on your door, go see Mike Bash.
Make sure you check out Mike Bash. You have him do your taxes. Mine are already done. Everything's set.
Yeah, he did mine though. He did what he could, but it wasn't.
I mean, I hear Pennsylvania apparently does very good with their taxes where we don't get much money back. So it sucks for that much, but at least they're done.
If you see me at the strip club dancing, you know why. So I gotta pay back those taxes.
Oh, I would probably do the same thing. We already got a couple people joining. We got Tyler that says, "Hey, what's going on, Tyler? Thanks for tuning back in." And
hi, Tyler.
And we have your daughter, Deva.
Oh, hi, baby. How are you?
How you guys doing? Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. So, we got some things, some good things, some bad things, some things to talk about this week. And I know for all the Philly fans out there, I know we are recording at the same time Harden is making his home debut. It is what it is. But before we get into James Harden and everything like that, we got to talk about this report coming from Brian Windhorst, who heard from Rich Paul that Ben Simmons is not quote-unquote close to coming back. He's week to week, but not close. Probably won't be back in the month of March. Kyrie still not full-time just yet. The mayor talked about rolling back some of the things, some of the mandates and everything, but he wasn't going to make any exceptions for just one person. Kevin Durant coming back tomorrow, actually. We're recording this on Wednesday, so he's coming back tomorrow, Thursday. Where are the Nets in all of this? Where do you have them finishing right now? Like, what kind of seed do you have them finishing in? Because as of right now, I think they're, the 8th or the 9th seed, so they're in the play-in right now?
Yeah, they might as well just they may as well just crumple this season up and just throw it in the garbage.
Yeah,
and it's crazy. Just, I know we're not moving on to that part yet, but with how well James Harden has played, I don't know this is not good by any means.
No, when the trade first happened, the Nets looked pretty decent even without their big guys. Seth Curry had himself a good game. Drummond has been a quality big. Nothing like too crazy, but at least has gotten his boards, played some decent defense, chipped in where he could. But other than the quality win at Milwaukee when Kyrie played, there hasn't been much to write home about. And
see, but that's the thing though that keeps me hopeful. And I said this to you when we, because we talk every day. We just don't talk when we're on the show. But
right,
Kyrie Irving basically took down the Bucks by himself, and the Bucks were healthy. The Bucks had Drew Holiday. The Bucks had Middleton. The Bucks had Portis, Ibaka, Giannis. They had they don't have Brook Lopez, but he hasn't been around the entire year. But the Bucks that's their championship roster more than likely. Right. That's the team that's going to be in the playoffs. And Kyrie Irving basically took down that entire team by himself. And the Bucks really exposed themselves with poor free throw shooting, which was kind of their thing last year. Giannis, people got on his case for his free throw shooting as well. Kevin Durant nearly took down the Bucks last year, and Kyrie Irving did it on Sunday. So that's the only thing that gives me hope, because as much as I bash Kyrie Irving, I still do acknowledge that this is a guy who could be at an elite level. He already is, but the only thing that holds him back is his health and his off the court conduct. But if they could get even if the Nets had Kyrie healthy and playing along with Kevin Durant healthy,
Mhm.
and they're still they're not a team, even if they make it in as a 6 seed or 7 team. They're not that team that you want to play.
Right. No, I completely agree. There's definitely not a single person that can sit there and say they want to play against a team that potentially could be playing Durant and Kyrie in a 7 game series, let alone say they do make the play in. There's no way any of them would want to play the Nets in a 1 game play in either, especially.
I don't think it'll get to that though. I think if Durant can get on the floor, can get healthy, there's still some games left. The Nets have a fairly easy schedule when you look at a strength of schedule standpoint. So if we get Durant back and we get Kyrie back, even in limited fashion, the Nets are a team that could easily work their way back into, because there's not a big gap between any of the teams really. If you look at the standings, I mean, Philadelphia is the 3rd seed, and they're not too far ahead of the Nets. The Bucks aren't too far ahead of the Nets, and they just lost. The Nets just lost 2 games in a row to the Raptors, which wasn't good, but the season's not over, so the Nets could easily work their way back into it.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be honest, this is one of the most competitive years that the East has seen in a very long time. And I think it was something like the up until yesterday or so, like the 3rd through 7th seed, I think was all tied in the win column. All they had was like the only difference was like a couple of losses here and there between those teams. So there's easily plenty of room for movement. There's plenty of room for the Nets to come back up, even all the way up to like the 2nd seed if they really wanted to in these last remaining like 20 to 30 games, whatever it is. Um, Especially, I mean, when you have a guy like Kevin Durant, there's a possibility for everything. Having Kevin Durant is always going to be your best chance for anything you want to do on an NBA court. So, him coming back is the most important. Ben Simmons not back yet until April is like, okay, I mean, that's one of the bigger pieces of the trade you get in return, but Seth and Drummond are still giving you quality minutes.
And we also, Joe Harris could factor in somewhere in there too. And the way Cam Thomas, Mike's boy, has been playing, he's been playing pretty well from off the bench. Drummond. So the Nets aren't done by any means, and I'm still not even ruling it. I know I said we might as well just crumple it up and throw it away, but honestly, I'm still not ruling out a deep playoff run, including a trip to the NBA Finals if the things line up well.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, this is one team where I'd say the moment anything rolls their way, they could win a championship. I mean,
I mean,
there's
go
other
ahead, honey.
like I was just saying like there's other teams like Miami and teams like that if a couple things roll their way, I still think they're going to have to work, they're going to have to struggle and everything like that. But the Nets, if everyone gets healthy at the right time, they could just breeze right through everything. So
Yeah, if I have a feeling, and if I don't want to get too political with the COVID thing because I'm sick of fucking talking about it, but um, if they somehow lift the mandate, which could seem likely by come playoff time in New York City with the way things are going, we could have Kyrie playing the entire. I'm not a fan of this mandate,
Hmm.
but I'm okay with it because it keeps Kyrie playing as less as possible, and it's good for him, believe it or not, from a health perspective. The guy had 2 weeks off between the All Star break, and he came back against Milwaukee and dropped like 38 points. So
True.
he's not going to miss a beat by any means. And Ben Simmons, I don't know what to make of this fiasco, but I don't. I'm not reading too much into it. I think it's kind of another type of Ben Simmons. It's just another notch on the belt of the Ben Simmons saga. I think he'll be fine, and I think he'll be playing because this is the first we've heard of this back thing. This
Hmm.
wasn't even discussed when they were talking trade. If this was such a big issue, that trade wouldn't have happened.
True. They would have caught it in the physical or something.
I mean, though I do not have confidence in the Nets training staff. I mean, there's a lot of things that I mean, Karis LeVert had a tumor on his kidney. They missed that. They missed. Fuck else did they miss? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh, LaMarcus Aldridge, the guy was his heart wasn't
Oh,
working.
right.
They missed that. So I don't have the most confidence in the net, but I would like to think that they would catch a back issue, and I would like to think that Ben Simmons would have said something prior to the trade.
I mean, that's two teams that I wouldn't really trust the medical staff for, because for the longest time the Sixers were known to always be drafting someone that either gets hurt or was hurt in the first place. So they didn't have anyone to trust in the medical staff just up until probably like last season.
I mean,
So
all the guys they were drafting were getting hurt left and right.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
And
even Ben Simmons did his first year.
Embiid was what he had a back thing going on. It was his first year, and then
And then it was a
Markel
foot.
Fultz. We see what happened to him, and
Yeah.
then Noel, and yeah. So
Yeah, it
it
was
could
all
maybe,
bad.
and actually now discussing how much their medical staff sucked, then yeah, maybe they could have.
I mean, yeah, it. I wasn't trusting a single thing coming out of that
But
medical staff for a while.
we just you sent me that fucking video though of him playing out of his mind. Didn't look like a guy with a back issue.
No.
I mean, I have back problems. I can't even get off the chair half the time. That didn't look like a guy with a back issue.
Oh yeah, like because then you look at like Michael Porter Jr., who actually has a back issue, and like that
Right,
last game before he went out, he couldn't even lay the ball up because he couldn't get off the ground because his back hurt. So
right. When your back's messed up, you can't even move. Like you
yeah,
just gotta lay on the floor.
exactly. This is to me, it was just something to take the heat off of the mental side of things, and but still give him an out to not play in that Philly game, because that's what the whole world is looking at. Everyone's talking about that March 10th game, and they're talking about whether or not he's going to play in it, whether or not he's going to have the his mental side is going to be ready for that kind of thing. And this just gives him a thing to say like, "Oh no, I'm mentally ready, but my back hurts."
So first, you're questioning the legitimacy of his mental health. Now you're questioning whether he's lying about his physical ailments.
Yes.
I mean, okay. But yeah, I mean the Brooklyn has 19 games left. They have Philly on tap. They got Milwaukee, but they also have the Rockets, the Pacers, the Knicks twice. Which so they have some games that they could. Things are looking favorable as long as Durant comes back and him and Kyrie are on the floor. They'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, if especially if Kyrie does finally get through this mandate, able to be a full time player, whatever it may be, I mean, that's going to be
So
huge in and of itself. I will say one quick thing about the mandate, because I'm also tired of talking about it, because we've been talking about this for
I just hate that
ages.
word
Yeah, true.
mandate.
But the one thing I found so dumb was Kyrie would be allowed to come be a spectator, but not play.
Right.
And even before it was already dumb saying, "Oh, opposing players can come in and play perfectly fine,"
Right. I was just
but he
going to say
couldn't
that.
play. But
You don't have to
now,
be vaccinated to go play, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. But now he could even go watch the game, but still can't play. That makes zero sense.
it's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, it's
And
sometimes even if it's to protect people, sometimes you just need a little common sense.
and we're talking about a guy who had COVID already.
True. That's also true.
So he's boosted essentially.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Say things don't roll the Nets' way. Say they don't make the finals. Is the season considered a failure? And do they try and shake things up a bit in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean anything but the finals, anything but a championship. The way this team was constructed is a failure. So if they don't win a championship, it's a failure. They can make
Okay.
it as far as they want to, and it's unless they're winning a championship, there's nothing else. So it really all depends on what everybody wants to do. So I mean, KD's there for the long haul. Like, it really all depends, and Ben's there for a while now too.
Hmm.
Really
At
all
least
depends
four
what
more
Kyrie.
years.
Yeah, so those two guys are going to be together, and you got to just wonder what Kyrie's going to want to do. Which you would think that he would stay in Brooklyn, because I don't think that there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be eager to take on to pay him what he would be making in Brooklyn.
Right.
So I think the team's going to stay together. I think COVID kind of threw a wrench in a lot of things, and I don't know, but this season is not over. And whenever you have Kevin Durant on the floor, it's bad news for whoever they're playing against.
Oh, that's true.
But now Kevin Durant has Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, Joe Harris. Hopefully he can come back soon. So it might actually work out better.
I mean, especially if you have Seth Curry and Joe Harris playing at the same time, that actually takes a lot of heat off of both of them in terms of getting open for their own respective shots. And that actually gives you a lot of options on, like, pick and roll sets or pick and pop sets or dribble handoffs. I mean, so there is a lot of things that can happen with that. And my main concern is come playoff time. There's been two things we've seen in the past couple postseasons. Like, Ben Simmons is obviously one of the biggest question marks because we have to see how he bounces back and what he even looks like on the court. We still haven't seen him in pretty much an entire year. And then B, guys like Drummond, Seth, and others that might be good on the offensive end, but a pretty bad asset on defense, have been game planned off of the floor come playoff time. I mean, against the Hawks, Seth Curry got abused by Kevin Herter, and the Hawks went on and won that game in the series. So Drummond, when he was at the Lakers, they couldn't even get him on the floor for more than 5 minutes because every time he was on the floor, they just hunted wherever he was at and they scored on him. So there's still question marks based on that. Even though Kevin Durant, Kyrie, those guys, they're going to score you plenty of points. It just comes down to, will they outscore who they're playing, and will they be able to defend at least just enough to beat them?
Well, the Nets got what they needed though out of Drummond. They got size, which they don't have. They're tiny. I mean, they have LaMarcus Aldridge playing center, and he is as talented as he is. He's not a traditional center. With Drummond, you got a big body, a guy who can rebound, and if they had a guy like that against the Bucks in the playoffs last season, things might have been different. So
Mm-hmm.
he's not an everyday kind of guy, because he does get exposed. He's not the quickest guy on the planet. He's not the best offensively, but he is a big body, and he is the best rebounder in the league. So, and he came in handy in Milwaukee, especially when it came down the stretch, throwing Drummond in there during the last couple seconds when it was foul. Guys were fouling and subbing in and out Drummond. So he's gonna have his moments where he's gonna be useful, and then there's gonna be times where he's just not gonna be a factor.
No,
Again, it's
that's
all
true.
matchups.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's what playoffs all come down to are matchups, and if you can find the one weakness to exploit and everything like that. So it's a bunch of chess moves when it
I
comes
mean, a
to it.
team like the sorry, honey,
You're good.
the teams like the Raptors that are just quicker and they're not, they're faster and they got just lengthy guys and things like that. So Drummond really wasn't the best in that type of situation, but there are situations that move will pay off, especially
Right.
what they're paying him.
Oh
And he
yeah,
can't
for
hold
sure.
you can't hold what he did in Los Angeles because the Lakers just suck.
I mean, that's very, very true. So let's move on. James Harden. We talked about it a little bit in the beginning. The James Harden experience in Philly. It's off to a great start. As of right now, though, so he has his first appearance in Philly is happening as we speak. Currently, he hasn't scored yet. He's only played 5 minutes. It looks like he's 0 for 2. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover. The Sixers are actually down 18 to 11. I mean, the game pretty much just started. But second game in a Sixers uniform, put up a triple double. First game, put up a double double. Both wins.
He had 5 steals one game.
5 steals. That was the triple double game. Put up 5 steals. That was against the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks are pretty bad, but either way, 5 steals is
They are.
impressive for James Harden. Um,
I'm a
the
little annoyed with him, to be honest with you. I don't want to cut you off,
no, no,
but
no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
he, for one, he looks like he dropped 30 pounds.
True.
He does. He looks skinnier.
He does. He took the fat
His
suit off.
his effort when you look at him playing in Brooklyn versus compared to what he looks like in Philly, big difference. Like he actually looks like he's putting in the effort.
Right.
He's shooting, I think, almost 60% from the field,
Yeah, he's been
which
on
is
fire.
way different than what he was doing in Brooklyn. And when you watched him in Brooklyn, he didn't even look like he was doing like I don't even think he tried to make shots. I think he was just trying to get a foul call. And now he's in Philly. He looks like a fucking monster, and it kind of makes me question whether I don't think his heart was in it. I think that he's just really pissed off at the way things were going on in Brooklyn. I question the effort there,
I mean,
but
I would too if I was in that same position. I mean, essentially, you and I are in the same position, but for the other player.
yeah, I mean, I never thought that Harden was wrong for being annoyed at what was going on.
Right. I mean, especially with the Kyrie situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I
Yeah.
don't I don't think he has a legitimate gripe there.
Oh yeah.
Um, However, I do question professionalism if you're faking injuries
True.
and you're not putting in the effort, which apparently he wasn't based on how he's playing. Uh, it's amazing to see just exactly what he's been doing since he's been in Philly.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, I when we first came on to the podcast and talked about this trade, I was actually very, very pessimistic. I did not think that it was going to be as good as it has been already. And
Don't
based
use big words and think you're.
I was being a downer for much of, especially compared to much of the Sixers fan base. I mean, everyone was, I mean, rightfully so. It's the biggest name the Sixers have gotten in a trade since, I think I was talking about it before, like since Elton Brand and Chris Webber. So it's rightfully so that everyone was hype. Actually, I always skip over Jimmy Butler. He's still a big name, but Um, yeah, I didn't see it going this well, especially to start off. I thought there was going to be a lot more growing pains. I thought that like especially Embiid was going to have to get a little more comfortable finally playing with somebody who's going out there and scoring more and taking the ball out of his hands a little bit more. So there was a lot of things that I wasn't sure was going to all line up. And then on top of that, I definitely didn't expect Tyrese Maxey to all of a sudden become the third of the big three. Tobias Harris
Well,
has pretty much just been invisible the last few games, and Tyrese Maxey's put up over 20 points each time.
well, that's what happens when you got guys like when you bring in a guy like Harden, who is a better player than Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not the most vocal guy, kind of quiet, kind of reserved, but guys feed off of that.
True.
So, but that could have been fixed. I blame Kyrie on that whole the situation in Brooklyn. I blame Kevin Durant a little bit. I think he kind of picked sides, and I think he Durant should have been the guy to get everybody together, or should have said something to Kyrie, but he's not going to. And when a guy gets coddled as much as Kyrie Irving does, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he's coddled constantly. Guys are going to get pissed off at that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is legitimately why Jimmy Butler left the Sixers, is because he felt Ben Simmons was getting coddled by Brett Brown, so he couldn't stand either one of them. So that's just an example that the moment you start coddling more, you start coddling a player more than others, then the rest of the guys are going to take notice and probably not feel too great about it. And on top
Yeah,
of
I
that,
don't.
go ahead, go ahead.
Good. No, I said I don't blame him for being pissed. I don't blame Harden for being pissed off. I don't like the lack of
Yeah.
effort, and I don't like the faking injuries.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't agree with people just like lying about injuries or not giving effort just to force your way out, things like that. I don't agree with any of that. So I agree with you on that. The professionalism was at like an all time low. But when it comes to what you said about Kevin Durant, when you were like, "Oh, you're a little upset that Kevin Durant didn't say anything," we also go back to the fact that Kevin Durant and Kyrie are the two really good friends, and then they added Harden. Like Kevin Durant had that connection with Harden back in their OKC days, but there was a long time that they didn't play together up until now. And then Durant never has struck me as a leader that would actually like tell people, "Yo, knock it the fuck off and play some basketball." Like he's not that type of guy. That like because in Golden State that was Draymond. Draymond was the guy doing all that.
Right.
And in Brooklyn, I don't think they really have that guy who is the vocal leader that just is like a I'm not going to take any shit, get your shit together, let's go win a game. It just doesn't seem like that type of leader is in Brooklyn.
Well, if you look at it, I mean, Kyrie's too busy worrying about blessing the court before each game.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant don't say shit ever. He's quiet. Harden don't say shit. I mean, I guess the best leaders right now that they have in Brooklyn is probably Patty Mills.
He seems to be the only vocal one, especially like off the court too.
Aldridge, maybe. I mean,
True.
I would love to see those guys. If Kevin Durant doesn't want to be that kind of guy, fine. But those there needed to be a conversation,
Oh
and
yeah,
that could have came from Steve Nash too, who should have said, "Guys, we got to unfuck ourselves right now and get our shit together."
yeah. Because
Because
I mean,
I'm questioning him too.
oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, you look around the league, like at the top teams, and you think about the guys who are the vocal leaders. There's plenty of guys who are like lead by example, and those ones are still good to have, like a Kevin Durant, like a Devin Booker, like a that type of
Chris
player.
Paul,
Chris Paul's another guy that I think is along the lines of Draymond, who will tell you get your head out of your ass.
right? And we saw what happened to the Suns.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
the Suns have Chris Paul to really tell those guys to get their shit together.
Oh yeah.
and I was watching a Lakers game for some reason. I was lonely and bored. Um, and I saw LeBron giving it to Reeves when he was fucking up, and LeBron literally was all over his ass, and the kid never said anything to him. That's the
Yep.
kind of shit you need.
Exactly. So you have like Phoenix with Chris Paul. You have LeBron. Even on the East side, you have Giannis, who they showed that clip in the playoffs all the time of him sitting down and just yelling at the team to just get their shit together. You even have Jimmy Butler on the Heat, who does that kind of stuff. Joel Embiid has been coming to press conferences and telling like Tyrese Maxey, like, "Oh, you finally played like a point guard." Like you have all these guys calling out teammates in a way to motivate them or get them to play together. And when it comes to the Nets, it's like Kevin Durant just tweets at people talking shit, but he doesn't like do that with his teammates. And then
Yeah, when
yeah,
you
like you said, Kyrie's not the guy to do that either.
when you have the office saying things, that's one thing. A lot of players don't really care what the office or management says, but when you have other guys on your team, that's a
Mm-hmm.
totally different thing.
Oh, completely agreed. And that was the biggest thing against the Sixers for the longest time is they didn't have that guy either because Ben Simmons is another soft-spoken, not really going to call anybody out type of player who's more of a facilitate and lead by example guy. Embiid was just kind of this goofy, give me the ball and I'll do what I want kind of guy. And so they didn't have anybody that would say anything until like JJ Redick. But at that point, like JJ could only get you so far as the leader. So every team
Yeah,
needs
there's
one. Every championship team needs one.
yeah, the Warriors too. They haven't had Draymond, and they've been feeling it too. So
Exactly.
those guys are definitely needed.
Oh yeah. So speaking about playoffs and championships and everything like that, you brought up the Raptors a little bit earlier. The Raptors and the Celtics are both making some playoff pushes right now. They're rising up the ranks of the Eastern Conference. The Celtics have been on a big hot streak. We talked about that a little bit. I think it was like either a week or two ago. Um, the Raptors playing very well with their young core and I mean, literally that whole team is just built off of length, defense, speed, athleticism. The only person who's not like super athletic and lengthy is Van Vliet, and just made his first All Star game. So
Yeah, but it all starts with Siakam, who has just been playing amazing.
agreed.
Like he's totally stepped it up. Van Vliet is an elite point guard now. He's not on that. He's for real. Like he's the real deal. He's as good as it gets. Scotty Barnes, my man's
Scotty's
guys
the man.
should be rookie of the year. And I said this a long time ago. This guy is NBA ready. Like
Oh yeah.
there's no development with him. Like he's coming to the league already, just ready to play. Like he's been doing it for years,
Oh yeah.
and it's scary how good he is and how young he is. So no wonder the Raptors totally made the right call uh, by picking up Scotty way ahead of other guys who were projected to be better and things like that. So Gary Trent plays well. OG's, we just got to worry what's going on with the injury situation. Van Vliet's been kind of banged up a little bit. OG's
Mm-hmm.
been banged up a little bit. They got to get healthy, but if they're healthy for the playoffs, they're a team that could make the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe even go farther.
Oh, I agree. I definitely think they have a good shot at making the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think the main issue with them just with the injuries is just there's been a lot of wear on their tires because Nick Nurse was playing them like 40 minutes a game for the longest time. Fred Van Vliet was the league's minutes leader for like
He took a
over half
page
the
out
season.
of Tom Thibodeau book of and Mike D'Antoni book of coaching.
Yeah, exactly. Just play the starters 45 minutes and then everyone else gets three.
Right.
um, but Yeah, no. I mean the only one that I continue to think is starting to hit street clothes is OG. He every season is something new with OG that he misses like 20 games for.
I've never been high on him at all, and I remember coming into the season, everybody's like, "Oh, geez, he's this is going to be his year," and I'm like, I don't know about that. The
I mean,
guy's
when he does
frail.
play, he's great, but
Yeah,
that's
but
the thing is he has to play.
if you look at the Raptors starting lineup, if you look at the most uh, dis- expendable player in that lineup, I would say OG is probably the guy that I would get rid of first at anybody.
I mean, he could definitely still get you some good assets back too because he's still young. I think he's like what 25, 26, if
Yeah,
that.
he's young.
And he still has a lot of potential, and as long as he stays on the court, he could help another team out greatly. So that probably would be the number one guy to get rid of because all the others are doing so well. We even have I think it was you and I mainly talking about it, but we even have a clip on our YouTube of you and I saying the moment Pascal Siakam got back when he was hurt in the beginning, that the Toronto Raptors would be a playoff team.
We're
So
fucking geniuses.
exactly, because we know what's going on with the Raptors. You and I also both said Scotty Barnes for Rookie of the Year.
I was a lot of people shit at me for being so high on Scotty, and I never gave up on that. And he's phenomenal. I don't want to hear he can't shoot or any of that bullshit. That guy just brings so much right now, and it's he's going to get much better, which is scary to think about.
Oh yeah, and on
And
top of
Pascal
that,
Siakam.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Pascal Siakam is playing like a totally different dude.
For sure. And I mean, their issues that a lot of people brought up about their depth at the five and everything haven't even been that terrible right now. And the moment they, in the offseason, if they add a starting five, that would be amazing for them. Like if they did end up getting like that Miles Turner type of player, that would be, I mean, push them over the edge easily.
Yeah, I honestly don't even think that they need a guy like that, to be
Oh, I
honest
don't
with
think
you.
it's like a 100% necessity, but if you like the one thing I do think is that if they ended up getting somebody like if they ended up with Sabonis, say they traded OG Anunoby for Sabonis, that would have been really
Oh,
nice.
game over.
Yeah. Like that would have been
They
amazing.
if they could have been the best team in the East at that point.
Completely agree. And then so the thing about Scotty Barnes too is the moment. So like he came in NBA ready, just like you said. He's doing all this right now. Should be Rookie of the Year. You give him a year, 2 years to just polish his like footwork, his interior moves, his outside moves, and then polish his jump shot. That's that's an MVP caliber player with how many things he can do on the court.
Yeah, his judgment from a shooting perspective is not the best, but
Right.
he's good. He's good defensively. He's a good passer. He's a good rebounder. I mean, he's a real deal.
Yeah. For sure. And so, since this is technically about the Raptors and the Celtics defense has been amazing. They've really turned things up on the defensive end, which have in turn made the whole offense better. When we were talking about it before with Alec Walt a couple weeks ago, we said how the moment they keep moving the ball, the offense is deadly and they can beat anybody that they play, which is exactly what has been happening. So the Celtics, they're another team I definitely wouldn't want to play in the first round. I mean, I think for sure they can get out of the first round as long as they keep playing as they have been.
Well, we'll see what happens too. Jalen Brown went down the other day. I haven't seen an update on his status, but thank God they got Derek White,
Oh yeah, that was a big
which that
move
was
for
a
them.
huge pickup.
Yeah. So here's the
And Al
question.
Horford's. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
honey.
No, go ahead.
No, I said Al Horford's playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
The Time Lord. That
Time Lord's been
Mike.
great.
Shout out to Mike's playing well. I mean, the Celtics are turning around.
Yeah. completely agree. So here's the question: who do you think makes it further in the playoffs this year? Raptors or the Celtics?
I still like the Raptors better than the Celtics, to be honest with you.
Yeah, even though the Celtics have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I do still kind of like the Raptors more as well.
Well, honestly, if you look at it, right, I don't think Jason Tatum's that much better than Pascal Siakam. And I don't think Jaylen Brown is that much better than Fred Van Vliet.
I mean, the argument's definitely there. They're definitely close, especially from a
And
consistency standpoint.
I mean, Van Vliet and Siakam, they have played better together. And Brown and Tatum are just kind of starting to get on the same page.
True. And I mean, once you factor in experience too, Van Vliet and Siakam both have championship.
They have
So,
rings.
yeah, so when it comes to playoff time, I mean, they do have that leg up in terms of experience. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I like the Raptors better than the Celtics. Still, like I just think they're better constructed. They're
they're definitely better coached.
well, that's your coach of the year right there. You're talking about.
I'm fine with going against it at this point.
You want to know something that's fucked up? Is that still could happen.
That's true. I mean, if the Celtics keep playing this way, and you brought it up last time, their schedule's really easy on the way to the end of the season.
Yeah, they got some tough ones in there, but they got a lot of easy ones too. So
Right. Like when we saw they played Detroit like 14 times.
yeah, they play 20 games against Detroit this season. So I
So
mean, it just that's why I was like, the Celtics could even finish in the top three. So could the Raptors.
that's true. I mean, the Celtics right now, I think, are like six. They're either six or seven. So
They are sixth,
yeah.
but the Sixers, the Sixers and the Celtics both have 37 wins.
Hmm.
However, the Sixers have four less losses than the Celtics do.
Okay. I mean, the fact that the Celtics played that many more games should mean that they at least have more rest in between games. So,
Yeah, the Bulls are hanging on, but
yep.
if and I don't know what's going on with Kyle Lowry in Miami, but he was out again with personal issues, so I don't. That's a team I just can't get on board with the Heat.
Yeah, Miami's a team that just I hear a lot of like national media people saying like, "Oh, can't count out Miami, can't count out Miami," and I'm like, they just don't like Milwaukee last year was. I didn't think they were like a championship lock or anything, but like I still had a good feeling that they could win. Whereas with the Heat, I don't have any type of gut feeling or anything that like they could really win a championship this year. I don't think that they could beat all the teams necessary in the East to make the finals. And then once they make it, I don't think they could beat a Golden State, a Phoenix, like those types of
No,
teams either. So,
now if the Warriors, I still, even though they've been on a little bit of a downward spiral, I still think they're the favorites to win,
yeah.
especially if they get Draymond Green back.
Oh yeah. No,
I
for sure.
mean, I
And
mean,
Wiseman's on the way back too.
yeah, but I think honestly, just keep him out of, you know.
I mean, just
But
for depth purposes.
right, have him sit the bench. But I mean, you can't fuck with what you have going on if it's working.
Right.
But you got to expect with Draymond Green, with his history, he's always street clothes. So
Either that or he's getting suspended for kicking people in the
stupid
nuts.
shit, yeah. And the only reason why he's not on Dennis's all street clothes team is just because Anthony Davis is far more street clothes than anybody in the universe.
True. Oh god. It must be a New Orleans thing because Zion's coming up on the all-time street clothes
He
list too.
still won't beat Anthony Davis. I heard somebody, I forget what I was listening to. They're like, he's just been, bitten by the bad luck snake or something. I go, what? The fucking guy gets hurt for everything.
Yeah, that's a big bad luck snake if that's the if
Yeah, I'm
that's the
like,
case.
literally, you could. He's had every injury. They might want to study his body to figure out why the fuck he's hurt so all the time.
Yeah, seriously.
That's not normal.
No, not at all. I mean, it's the tiniest little thing could be off and then boom, out for 10, 15 games.
Now he rolled his ankle. I was watching and I saw it happen. All
It
right,
looks painful.
it looked like shit, but you 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Guys don't fucking sit 4 weeks for that.
Right.
Especially when your team sucks and you're trying to get into the playoffs.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially because even you being out there like at 50% with LeBron is better than not being out there at all, and probably gives you even a better chance of winning.
Right. Now, like, I stubbed my toe and I got to go to like urgent care. You know what I mean? But this is a professional athlete. Like, you roll
Right.
your ankle, yeah, that sucks, it hurts, blah. But there comes a point in time where you got to be like, okay, my team is losing, my team sucks, so let's stop blaming Russell Westbrook, everything on what Russell Westbrook, and let's start pointing some fingers where they need to be pointed at.
Yeah, seriously. And before we get to our last topic, Denver now is actually looking like they're getting healthier. I mean, the rumors of Jamal Murray getting healthy in time for the playoffs, Michael Porter Jr. healthy in time for the playoffs. That's another team that if they're fully healthy, I don't want to play them at all.
No, I wouldn't want to play them now.
I mean, yeah, right now, oh, let alone when they come back, they're a deadly team. So the moment those two come back, you got to put them in a championship conversation.
I mean, they've been and they've been the Nuggets have been playing well with basically just Jokic. They and Aaron Gordon's been playing well enough, and Will Barton plays well enough, and Monty Morris plays well enough. But really, just as long as you have Jokic, you're fine.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
But then you get Jamal Murray back.
Yep. Jamal Murray coming back is crazy. Tyler asked, how far do you think the Celtics make it in the playoffs? He thinks they're frauds. So we were just talking about this, and yeah, we both agree. We both have the Raptors making it further. And I think, to me, I think second round is the most the Celtics would get.
Yeah, I said this. I forget what I said it, but when everybody was, you know, fucking going nuts over the Celtics and how great they've been, I'm like, you beat shitty teams.
Yep. Yep.
You beat Detroit 9 times that 10-game winning streak was Detroit. We don't know how they play Detroit 20 times in a year, but it seemed like they're playing Detroit every night.
Yeah, exactly. And my favorite thing, too, is for our fantasy league, I have Sadiq Bey. So I pick the game against the Celtics all the time because for some reason, Sadiq Bey doesn't miss against Boston. So I'm like, all right, picking against Boston.
See, with the way the injuries and protocols have been this year, I would just pick the first game. If I know they're playing, I'm putting you in
I got you. No, yeah, I mean, that's also a good strategy, to be
because
honest.
I'm not gonna. It was like somebody's playing the Wizards coming up, and I'm like, I can't trust that he'll be available.
Right.
So if he's playing tonight, he's going in.
Yeah.
So
Oh, no, I've definitely done that, too.
it works.
Oh, for sure.
Like Brogdon, I had Brogdon on my team, and he's been off and on with the Achilles, and he's playing tonight. So I said, "Fuck it, I'm rolling with him."
Might as well, especially someone with Brogdon's level of talent.
Yeah, I'll take it because then
Yeah.
what's my next option? Devontae Graham,
Yeah, which, I mean,
who's
is
disappeared.
quite a step down.
Right.
So, our last topic, the Knicks.
But hold on, too. I do want to
go
acknowledge how well the Mavericks have been playing as well.
Oh, yeah, the Mavericks have been good.
And
I mean,
Luka,
Luka's really stepped up.
he's not fat right
Nope.
now, so he's good.
I saw some headline. I didn't read the story, but I saw some headline that like he said something to Mark Cuban and realized how out of shape he really was and how fat he really was, and he
He was
needed to
looking
lose
like me
weight.
for a while.
He was looking like Brooklyn James Harden.
He wasn't looking too good.
No, I mean the other night he just had a putback dunk on somebody. I was like, Luka's jumping over people. What the hell?
Yeah, he's been playing well, and that's what they need.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, the Knicks.
So the Knicks,
They suck.
they suck a lot. There's been blame getting thrown all around from
Like they're taking the whole at 10 inches. That's how much they suck.
yes,
Like all the
Worldwide
way
West
down.
to the base. Uh, World, Worldwide West from the front office.
We're talking about that as I'm taking a sip out of this fucking.
We knew what you were doing. He's been blaming stuff on Tibbs. Tibbs is
Wait, what
trying-
did you say? I wasn't listening.
the guy Worldwide West from their front office. Worldwide West is
okay.
like his nickname or whatever. I forget his actual name. But he's been putting blame on Tibbs for this season. Tibbs is trying to fire back because obviously he doesn't want to lose his job. Leon Rose, the GM, has kind of just sat on his hands a little bit here, and we all are still wondering why you would even sign Fournier to that much money. I mean, you and I especially have been like, why the hell would you sign this guy? So, yeah, the whole season has looked really bad. The only redeeming quality I will say for the Knicks is they're still at least flexible right now. They do have some cap coming up, and they can make some trades because they have a couple assets as long as they're not looking for tons in return. Like
They're fucked.
They could trade Randall. They could trade RJ Barrett. But then that kind of just starts a whole rebuild again.
See, here's the thing with RJ Barrett, though. He's actually playing. He averaged 28 points, if I remember correctly, in February.
Yeah, he was looking real
I
good.
mean, so I'm like, where the fuck did this guy come from? So, like, and I've been shitting on RJ Barrett because the Knicks, he should be at the level now where he's a viable number 2 to Julius Randle, and we haven't gotten that shit.
Right.
And Tibbs, he can't pick a rotation to save his life for some reason. And even Kemba's like, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want nothing to do with this place.
And Derrick Rose had to get, I think, another surgery or something. So I think
Right.
he's out for the rest of the season.
So the Thibodeau's not all the blame, but he hasn't. He's done some stupid shit, but the roster sucks.
Yeah.
The
And
roster absolutely blows.
And Julius Randle honestly looks like a shell of himself from last season. Like last season, he was fired up. He had all this stuff to prove and so on and so forth. And
Got
this
that money.
season, he just like
He got
sometimes he
paid.
tries, sometimes he doesn't. Yeah, that's true.
He got paid.
Like so, there was a clip of when the Sixers Knicks game in New York. James Harden and Joel Embiid did a pick and roll. Joel literally just walked right by Randall on the roll and got an easy dunk, and Randall literally just was like standing there just watching. And I was just like, "Are you okay? What the hell was that?"
I will say though that they are beating the Sixers right now.
True. And it's in Philly, so
I'll give it till the middle of the third, and the Sixers will be up by 12.
probably. I mean, at least I hope so.
I mean, the Knicks are so bad. They're absolutely... Nobody should be pointing fingers anywhere. Everybody sucks in that organization. There's nobody cares. Nobody's playing well. So, yeah.
If you're starting Alec Burks at point guard, you should know that
You
your team's
suck.
fucked.
Your team sucks, yeah.
Like, even Knicks fans that I see on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever, they're like, why do we keep starting Alec Burks? If we're going to suck, why not just throw in the young guys and let them get playing time?
Right. Get a little Miles McBride action.
Exactly.
We barely see Cam Reddish. But
Another thing.
But goddamn, we got to get Taj Gibson in there. Fuck, he needs minutes. You know what I
That
mean?
and that was one thing that Tibbs is definitely to blame for.
He's guilty for that.
Yeah, and that whole thing when they first traded for Cam Reddish, and he said, "Oh, he's not in the rotation. I didn't really even want him on the team anyway." Like, you can't just come out and say that when your team finally makes a trade.
Right.
So
Yeah. So I mean, who were his options before? Kevin Knox. Go play Kevin Knox then, asshole, and see how well that worked out for you.
exactly, and honestly, last game when they played Jericho Sims actually played some decent defense on Joel Embiid, and that's a rookie against somebody that's in an MVP conversation.
Yeah, they're a joke.
Yeah. It's just like, why? And they haven't even been playing Nerlens Noel. Noel has literally fallen out of the rotation.
And even like when Knox was in New York, like you figure, okay, we haven't really seen a lot of this guy to figure out where he's at. Let's get him something.
Right.
Our season's over anyways.
Right.
You know, why not put Cam Reddish on the floor?
Exactly. And instead, we're going to just watch Alec Burks and Evan Fournier.
Right.
As if that's going to move the needle for anybody who thinks about turning on a Knicks game.
I mean, right now, Taj Gibson has more minutes than Noel, who hasn't done anything. And Cam Reddish has played 2 less minutes than Taj Gibson. Or 2 more than Taj Gibson.
Yeah.
You're telling me that I'll take Cam Reddish on the Nets.
True. I would take Cam Reddish too. And that's saying, and Obi Toppin has played 7 minutes to Taj Gibson's 6. Sims has only played 4 minutes. He's another rookie that's not really playing all that much. I mean, I get putting Mitchell Robinson in there because, I mean, he's still on the younger side, still growing, whatever it may be. But, like...
Never mind. It's not 10 inches. It's a full mandingo.
It's... Like, I just don't understand. Especially with the fact that, like we just talked about, Kemba and Derrick Rose are done. They're not playing for the rest of the season.
Right.
And they were taking up, like, Kemba was playing, like, somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes a game.
And Kemba was,
Derrick
like,
Rose
desperate.
was starting.
Kemba was, like, desperate to play.
Yeah.
And now he's like, nah, never mind. I'm good. I'm out.
And exactly, like, this is Kemba Walker who came to the Knicks because this is his hometown. Finally played for his hometown team, and they suck so bad that Kemba decided, nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna stay home for the rest of the season.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Oh, that's bad.
I mean, the Knicks suck. I don't want to. Can we stop talking about the Knicks?
Yes, we can.
It's depressing. I'd rather talk about like a colonoscopy or something.
You had to bring that up. I have to schedule mine.
My, what's your problem? You got puppet. You know, we'll talk to you.
Oh no, I mean I don't care. I've had Crohn's disease since I was 16. So.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. I'm like, what's a family history of colon cancer here?
Yeah, no. So I have to. It's like my fourth one.
I got mine coming up.
I mean,
not scheduled, but you know.
Yeah.
Get your colonoscopy.
The night before sucks, but then it's over.
Yeah, but you're like 10 pounds lighter.
True. You feel really skinny.
You have literally nothing. I should get a colonoscopy every week because maybe I'll fucking lose some.
For all those tuning in, welcome to the Colonoscopy Podcast.
Right.
But
well, I mean, you gotta associate the Knicks and shit, so it's only fitting.
True. Exactly. But that's the last topic we had prepared. Unless there's anything you need to get off your chest, I mean, I think that's it for us.
No, I'm like that Knicks thing really put me in a funk.
I completely understand that. There hasn't, other than last season, there hasn't been good things to say about the Knicks since like when Melo took them to almost the finals.
Yeah, talking about the Knicks like is probably worse than a guy having to talk to his doctor about needing Viagra.
It's probably right on par with that. I would
You know
agree
what
with
I
that.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that feels like. I have no problems in that area.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm actually better than ever. So,
Okay. So you're better than the Knicks, is what you're saying.
oh, by far, I'm like a. It's like I'm in high school again.
Oh God. On that note, I think that's it for us. So thank you everybody. If you're watching on YouTube, please drop a like below, subscribe, hit the bell to know whenever we're going live and whenever we upload some clips or extra videos. Everyone else, we are everywhere you get your podcast. Please rate and subscribe and share with a friend. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening to the Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast and the #1 division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. And we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.